Assalamu alaikum. The date is 18th July 2025. Time is 15:46, and we will be trading Netflix. There are two options that we have today. We have Netflix and XOM. XOM CVX, the energy sector. Now, energy is something we don't usually trade, but if we go take a look at CVX, for example, it has jumped from a previous potential consolidation zone and went up to the next potential consolidation zone. So CVX could be interesting, XOM could be interesting. Both of these can be really interesting trades. But let's stick with Netflix because Netflix is out on positive earnings beat. Netflix warned on rising content expenses in quarter three and quarter four. Note EPS and revenue topped with strong guidance. Netflix is down $20 in the pre market. It was sharply sold off at 14:45 Bahrain time. So, just something to keep in mind. HESS plus 8% wins XOM arbitration case, paving way for CVX plus 4% deal. If we take a look at IBKR next, if ATR 1.7, very slow stock, not very desirable. I think Netflix remains the best option to trade today. There is no specific reason to trade Netflix except that it's in the news regarding earnings, which I think is a potentially very good reason to trade stock. So let me quickly go through all the important news. First, let's go through the US Open news. I mm, Today we will see the release of building permits, which is already out. The market has digested the news very softly. It has not shown any sharp spikes after the release of US permits, US building permits. We don't exactly know if the news was good or bad, but the market was pretty soft to it. And that is what we care about. We care about how the market reacts to a specific or to a particular news rather than what the news actually means. The University of Michigan preliminary sentiment data for July is expected to rise, expected 61.5 from 60.7, though conditions are seen easing to 63.9 from 64.8, as are expectations. Expected 55 from 55 58.1. Last time out, the 1 year inflation expectation was at 5%, while the 5 to 10 year gauge was at 4%. In wake of today's US data, the Atlanta Fed will update its GDP Now tracker, which was on Thursday revised down to 2.4% in Q2 and from 2.6% prior. On speaker slate, Fed Governor Waller Voter is due to speak on Bloomberg TV at 13 BST. Overnight, he said that the Fed should cut interest rates by 25 bps this month to support a weakening labor market, adding that with inflation near target and limited upside risks, action was needed before labor market deteriorates further. In afternoon trade, Baker Hughes will publish its weekly rig count data. On today's CRA slate, potential reviews could come from Fitch on the Netherlands, DBRS on Portugal, Moody's on Czech Republic, and DBRS on ESM. Notably, US corporate earnings due today: RFTFC, MMM, SLB, AXPH, BAN, SCHW, ALV, ALY. Tariffs. US President Trump urged the US Supreme Court to reject a pre appeals challenge to his tariffs, arguing the case should proceed through lower courts first. This case was brought by two educational toy makers seeking expedited Supreme Court review. US China. The Commerce Department will impose preliminary anti dumping duties on Chinese graphite imports, a critical battery material, after determining unfair subsidies. The new duties raise effective tariff to 160%. Following petitions by a US graphite producers trade group seeking investigations into Chinese companies' practices. China Rare Earths. China's Ministry of Sales Security accused foreign intelligence agencies of stealing controlled rare earth materials, which it considers a strategic asset. The agency reaffirmed efforts to curb smuggling even as Beijing agreed to review export applications following trade talks with the US. Bloomberg reports. US Brazil. US President Trump intensified pressure on Brazil to drop criminal charges against former President Jair Bolsonaro, saying he would be watching closely for a response. In an open letter, Trump describes Bolsonaro as a victim of terrible treatment and demanded an immediate end to the trial over Bolsonaro's alleged role in a failed 2022 coup attempt. Trump's health. President Trump was diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency following leg swelling, though the White House says he remains in excellent health. The diagnosis came after images showed swollen ankles and a bruised hand, prompting a full examination by the White House medical unit. Fed Chair Powell responded in a letter to White House Budget Director Russ Vought, defending the Fed's USD 2.5 billion renovation of its Mariner S. Eccles building. Powell emphasized the Fed's responsibility to manage public funds prudently while fulfilling its congressional mandate. US FHFA Director Pult said reliable congressional sources indicate a possible criminal referral to the DOJ regarding Fed Chair Powell's alleged perjury about his USD 2.5 billion building. And this is the last important news. After that, it's all garbage. Fed Governor Waller Voter said Fed should cut interest rates by 25 bps this month to support a weakening labor market, adding that with inflation near target and limited upside risks, action was needed before the labor market deteriorates further. So this is all the news that is out. We can tell that the Fed is slightly dovish, which is good news for us. Meta has yet again poached two AI researchers from Apple. I mean, it's everyday news now. If we go to bite-sized news, it's a reiteration of everything that we have already discussed. This is important. Trump's executive orders aim at regulatory relief across key sectors, and opening 401k access to crypto could catalyze risk appetite in legacy and digital asset market. Potentially positive for sectors like energy, semiconductors, and crypto-related equities. hmm Then we have a bunch of news about EU market, Asia market, FX market, fixed income, commodities, crypto, geopolitics, EU, UK. Let's go back and scroll through all the news. The SM should still be a stock in play today, but uh, let's. If Netflix was not in the news today, maybe we would have traded TSM. Okay, that wraps up all the news and the planning. Let's quickly go through TSM's graph once. Where is TSM trading in the same range? So I guess it might be very slow. Hmm. Let's plan Netflix. Can be very interesting. Let's switch to 30. Let's get rid of pre-market. Huh? Oh, let's zoom out. Let's see what is potentially happening in this area. Market has been somewhat resilient in this area. Uh, Very obvious supported 1232. Then we see a slight volume gap, and then the next zone is 1220 with majority of the volume coming in at 1188. Let's switch to 1 day. Let's just try to get a broader view on this. Actually, we cannot get any broader view. Ever since the stock has started trading, this is the best. This is the most complete picture that we can get on this. So the most obvious support this would be this, where the stock is trading right now. What does it mean if this level is broken? Do I think the stock is going to plummet if this level is broken? I don't know. It is possible that it goes down to test this area. Maybe this becomes the next support. 1222. And if that level is broken, maybe it will come down to test this area. It could potentially search for a new fair value based on the news that has come out. It is very likely that Netflix is going to search for fair value. I cannot find. Yeah. Hmm. Is Netflix going to find or search for fair value upwards or downwards? That is the most important question, right? Upwards, we have potential fair value areas at 1271. I think it's close to yesterday's close as well, so it might fail there. Mm. Then we have 1288. I don't think it's going to go all the way up there. The next immediate, if Yeah, this could be one of the fair values, very high volume. This is number one, and this is number two. Fair enough. Okay, so this could be the potential max. Oh, that looks ugly. Bold 14, right? And where can be minimum? Any of these three levels can be the minimum, but I think this should be the maximum. Today's maximum. If the stock ends up going there, we should start seeing good resistance. So if we had to draw the path, it would be something like Alt Shift E. Mhm. Today it tried opening and it tried testing that area. Let me bring this up a bit higher. Let me bring this. Actually, let me keep it exactly there. If the stock ends up dropping to this zone, we want to see resilient buying. We want to see consolidation. We want to see sellers being absorbed. If we see an immediate push upwards, then maybe the stock is stronger than what we thought. We will not enter. If the stock suddenly moves, we will unfortunately have to wait quite some time and then maybe enter when the stock pulls back. That might not be a very big move, but it'll for sure inform us that the stock is strong. Or should I try to? Or otherwise, entering a on hasty entering hastily could be very bad for us because the market still has two more levels that can go down and explore, and we will be trapped in a very negative situation. So I think in today's scenario, it would be best to wait if in case the stock drops and then bounces and then enter on the pullback. That would be the best case scenario, and then we expect to start seeing resistance at 1256. So one situation could be this, that the stock immediately turns after hitting 1233. The second could be that the stock is being pressured below 1233, and then it holds, and then it finally reverses. The most common thing that we are seeing right now, and then the stock rallies. So this could be one of those situations. The second is that the stock opens and consolidates sideways. That means that the stock has found fair value, and the only option that we have is to let the stock swing either way, and then finally come back to its mean price where it was consolidating at the open. A price that can be accepted by both buyers and sellers. So today's plan is very simple. No, actually, let me add a fourth scenario. Scenario number four would be the stock opens, goes high to 251, 256, and then we see double top. We see consolidation up there, and we see sellers being exhausted, and then the price drops. This could be fourth scenario. Not very likely, but just to make sure that you've considered everything important. It's there. How much time do we have? We still have 27 minutes left. That is nice. This fourth scenario is kind of confusing to me. The fourth scenario means that the buyers are the one initiating the move. No, it's not that kind of day. It's not the kind of day where buyers are the one initiating the move. And but it did happen yesterday on TSM. Buyers were the one who initiated the move, and sellers were the one who dropped the price. Sellers were the one who reacted. So I think we should start considering things like these now. Mm, this means that sellers tried driving the price down, and buyers were the one who were trying to slowly accumulate. Buyers were not being desperate. Buyers were the ones slowly accumulating, and the price rose up. Th- this is actually a very bearish signal for Netflix scenario number four, because that means the sellers are trying to softly sell. When we see something like this, I would argue that the big players are then trying to sell. Hmm. It means Buyers are the one being desperate, sellers are the one being smart. Sellers are the smart money in that case, and they're trying to get out on bullish news. For example, they are trying to sell the stock into the bullish news. That is something we could see today. A lot of things at play, and there naturally are other scenarios where Netflix breaks below 1233 support and goes to 1222 and then finds support there. You know, that is one of the areas where fair value is accepted and all of that thing. What breeds desperation in a person when he thinks that this is something he will not get again? Do buyers think that this is a price that they will never get again? No. It's at record highs. You know, it's there is no reason for buyers to be desperate in this area. It would not make sense for buyers to be desperate in an area like this, where the stock is making record highs. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So scenario number four is not likely. We should not see buyers being desperate and sellers being the most relaxed one. Sellers being relaxed. But I'm stuck thinking that, okay, suppose we see something like this. What could it mean for the stock? What could it mean for the stock if we see something like this? It could it could mean that buyers are desperately trying to buy at this level. No, a move like this should happen at maybe lower levels when the stock is falling. Buyers are thinking that they might not get this level because they are the ones being stupid, and sellers just want to get out because they've already lost a lot of money, but they don't want to drive the stock price even lower, so they are just trying to sell slowly. I would see a move like this when the stock market is falling. When I would see a move like this in the bear market, but in which sellers don't necessarily think that this is the worst price they can get, but they slowly want to get out, and they're getting out with volume. We saw this in TSMC, but TSMC, it was just a very sudden rejection, and then that was it. And then the price fell down, and then 248 was held and whatnot. It is a different market in TSMC. Sellers aren't necessarily desperate on TSMC, or maybe they are because they might. Sellers are the one who might not get a better price than this. So in a market like this, sellers are the one who are going to be desperate. Buyers are the one who are going to be more stable, more thoughtful, because according to buyers, this is record high. So anyway, this is the final plan on Netflix. Inshallah, I'll see you when the market opens. Okay, the market opens any minute now. 15 seconds, 10 seconds. Okay, the stock opened with people trying to buy. That is very interesting. Yeah, that's better. People initially tried to buy. The stock was sold into 1230, then to 1220. Do we try to go long here? Could be panic selling. One two one five. You short it? Where did you short? Oh, uh, why did you short though? Fair enough. Fair enough. Hmm. It's okay in such a fast moving market, anything is good money. So I guess this is where I go along. Rejected, not enough funds. Interesting. How expensive is this? I cannot buy 100. What's up? 93,000. Oh, no wonder. Bro, you need to start recording your videos. No, bro, just install OBS and start recording your videos. I don't know what issue you have. I've told you so many times that you need to record videos. Accept that. Let me focus. Show settings. We go to market depth. Well, I think this is the best setting for Netflix. It went up and then it's now beginning to struggle as if it's consolidating now. My brother already made his money and left also, huh? Mm. The reason why I took a slow wait and see approach today was because yesterday the things went according to our plan, but we're really betting on Netflix breaking this level right now. But it took some time. Even my brother's approach was correct that go for the first. I think I should have dropped out here. I think the best thing to do here would be drop out and then try again. Buyers are pushing higher. Sold with aggression and absorbed. Very interesting. So that should be a good signal. Shot down again, and this time with from a lower high. The previous high was at 1219.5. This time the high was 1218. We can say that the discussions are for the fair value are going on. People are discussing if this is a good fair value or not. And from the way the buyers are behaving, they might accept this price as good value, and the stock might rise up. Is there anything suggesting that this is fair value and not good value? If the buyers fail to make a new high right now, I'm dropping. The buyers drop. I'm gonna trail behind. and I really want them to push upwards. They didn't. I got stopped out. Buyers are trying to push the price up and the stock is falling is not what I wanted to see. It's possible that the stock slowly goes up. I've entered the stock again. I've entered a new position at 1219. My previous entry was a lot better at 1209. I'm entering $10 higher. Would I do this in a live market? No. I should never do this in a live market. My brother made money shorting the stock from 1240. One two 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 could be one of those areas where the stock accepts fair value. My first entry was good. I just got stopped out really, really bad. I guess we see the same theme again. That the stock first falls and then goes up. The most recurring theme right now. I think this is the most recurring theme in a bullish market because it makes the most sense. I'm getting out here at 1222 because it might be one of those fair values. It's entirely possible that the market holds this level and then decides to go up. Since this is a view app and the EM for the market might struggle and then go up. It's just that I don't want to take that risk. Anyway, this is it for today's video. Today's trade was fairly simple. I mean, all the trades are simple. Is that in Netflix gave us a good opportunity today. We're not getting this opportunity other days. Take care. Inshallah, see you tomorrow.